All right, so the way that I would typically go about taking a logo and turning it into a watermark of some kind would be to start with the logo that I already currently have. For the sake of this demonstration, I just isolated an element from one of my paintings and I added some text in Photoshop real quick. If you've already got a logo that has an image or text or both, great. Then, you would basically start where I am right now. So the first thing that you want to do is a watermark is usually going to be overlaid on top of a picture or another picture. So the easiest way for you to create a watermark that you can reuse over and over and over again is to turn it into a brush in Photoshop. So just like you've got all of these brushes that are preset, you are going to take this picture and turn it into one of these. And then you can just stamp it wherever you need it. So here's how you want to do that. The first thing that you want to do is you want to go to Image, Adjustments, go to Hue and Saturation, and you're going to turn the saturation all the way down. Now this is going to take your picture and take it from being in color to black and white. That's okay. I'll go ahead and actually make my text black instead of gray also. Again, if your logo is already pre-built, that's fine. I'm just getting my picture where it needs to be. If yours is all on one layer, then going to Image, Adjustment, and changing the picture to black and white should be a piece of cake. You'll also want to go to Image, Adjustment, and you want to do Brightness and Contrast, and adjust the contrast. This is going to make the darks and the lights further away from one another. The more you crank it, the more drastic it'll be, but you want to make sure that your picture is going to pop. You want the darks to be dark. If that's not quite enough, you can also redo the brightness and contrast, so you can continue to adjust the contrast and make it really punchy if you wanted to. Okay. Once you're happy with where your image happens to be, this is where we're going to take it and turn it into a brush. So you're going to shift click or just click one layer if that's all you've got, and you're going to go to select all. You'll know that it's activated when you can see the marching ants around the edges, all the edges. All right. And with that selected, you're going to go to Edit, Define Brush Preset. And this is going to take the image and turn it into a brush. So by default, it's just going to grab the name of the file that I opened, which was the name of the JPEG. You can call it logo, you can put, logo, watermark, whatever you want to call it. The 500 at the bottom represents how big the original file you put in it is. So just to show you, if I were to go to the image size, it's only going to be as big as the biggest dimension. So the 500 represents pixels. Now, this isn't the biggest resolution image, but the higher or the larger this is, the bigger you can make your watermark look without it losing quality. So what that means is I can't make this particular brush or watermark any bigger than 500 pixels before it starts to look kind of ick. But to illustrate this, so I'll go to my brush. You can see right here, I'll make this a little bit bigger. Here's my logo that I've just made. The white parts, you can see it's a little bit inverted here. Anything that showed up in black is going to be what shows in your watermark. So if it's white here, again, this is going to be what shows in your watermark. So if I were to open up a picture, so let's say I wanted to open up a photo and I wanted to put a watermark on this for me to protect it, maybe online. I'll grab my watermark, and by default this will probably show up as black. So in this case I think maybe something lighter would be better. And if I just click it, it's just gonna stamp the picture there, which does the job, but it's covering up a lot of the picture. So I just undid there. So what I might do is suggest maybe 50% opacity. If that's too much, maybe 25% opacity. If I want to maybe make it smaller, by default it's set to 500 pixels, so I could make it smaller and maybe stamp it a couple times on the picture like that. But because, again, this is a brush now, so it will be saved permanently to your computer. You don't have to do this every time you want to watermark a picture. If you wanted to take it a step further and maybe make it look a little fancy, and probably not, but just in case, I'm going to create a new layer. I'll stamp my watermark on it. I'll double click that layer, which opens up the layer blending styles, and turning a quick bevel and emboss on can actually kind of make it look like it's physically been stamped, like a real watermark on paper would look. You can see it just adds a little bit more. The inner bevel is going to add a little bit more detail. But again, the whole purpose is to make sure that it prevents somebody from taking your work. So that's the ultimate goal. Pretty much it. Biggest suggestion outside of this, make sure that you save your file as something new, because it will overwrite whatever you save it as, and you don't want to save your original with the watermark on it. So just make sure that you make that separate save unless you want to permanently change it. Hope this helps.